Chapter 20, Babylon is Fallen. It's time to keep a promise. Back in chapter 14, I said I would eventually cover what the Bible has to say about the final disposition of Babylon. So, here we go. The key to understanding Babylon is its pervasiveness. It's not one thing, but many. Anything that systematically replaces Yahweh in our affections. On a personal level, it can be religion, but it can also be the absence of religion. It could be a lifestyle ranging from being the most lascivious, sexually deviant libertine to the most ascetic monk trying to impress God with his self-sacrifice. It might be the single-minded pursuit of power, sex, or money, but it could just as easily be self-righteous disdain for such things, pride in being humble. It could be a solid wall or a smokescreen. If it keeps us from having a real relationship with our Creator, it's part of Babylon. We all need to heed the stern warning of John.
Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever. 1 John 2:15-17.
There's God's gift again. Choice. We can choose the lust of the world, defined here as imminent death, or we can choose to do the will of Yahweh, which is to believe, trust in, and rely upon Him, which gives us eternal life. Gee, that's a tough one. Babylon, as a scriptural metaphor, however, usually takes on more corporate proportions, going far beyond its personal ramifications. The end result is always the same: purposeful, systematic rebellion against Yahweh's revealed will. But its manifestations shift by time and place. The prototypical Babylon, of course, is the ancient city on the Euphrates, the birthplace of organized idolatry in the post-flood world. In later times, another city, Rome, in Revelation 17:1-10, earned the epithet of Babylon. How much of the slam could be attributed to the brutal persecutions of Yahweh's people before Constantine's time, and how much to the apostasy of the Rome-based Catholic Church after him, is left unsaid. What is clear, however, is that the whore of Babylon, called Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth, to be more precise, will ultimately be revealed to be something far more than the scope of the city of Rome. She's not merely evil in herself, but is the mother of harlots. She spawns further generations and permutations of evil. We have already explored how Babylon shows up in false worship. Virtually every religion on earth is a man-made construct designed to obfuscate, one way or another, the love of God. They are invariably based on works and submission, formulas by which man is told he can earn his own salvation. The definition of that, of course, varies from religion to religion. To Muslims, it's arriving in a fictional paradise dripping with low-hanging fruit and populated with sex-starved virgins, which kind of leaves the gals out in the cold, I imagine. It's the stuff Muhammad couldn't get enough of. Allah's not there, by the way. He's in hell, gleefully torturing everybody who didn't make it because he predestined them to fiery torment. With Hindus, it's just the opposite. They long for nothing, or more correctly, nothingness, the complete absence of feelings, thoughts, and memories. That's their nirvana, escape from the cycle of life. Makes sense, I suppose, if all they know in this world is pain, suffering, and fear, a life totally bereft of joy and fulfillment. The really insidious religions, like Mormonism, masquerade as Christianity while leading their adherents deeper and deeper into a Babylonian-style mystery religion that promises to make them gods of their own worlds, just as Yahshua is of this one. Satan's got something for everybody, and it's all lies. Many religions are more philosophies than anything else, trying to get you through this life rather than into the next one. We'll discuss the real heaven and the real hell in future chapters. Suffice it to say that to talk intelligently about either place, you have to be getting your information from someone who's actually been there. Otherwise, your theories are nothing but uneducated guesses. As we have seen, the religion of Babylon, in all its forms, will ultimately be absorbed into the one-world religion of Lucifer worship, fronted by the devil's emissary on earth, the Antichrist, and his game show host house magician, the false prophet, and an image of the beast that's somehow hosting Satan's spirit. By the middle of the tribulation, followers of all the world's false religions will have a collective epiphany, realizing that they've all been worshiping the same entity, the dragon, all along. When George W. Bush said in a 2003 press conference, "I believe we," he was referring to Muslims and Christians, "worship the same God," unquote, he was voicing this very religious epiphany. To my mind, it was the worst blunder of his presidency, and he made some whoppers. Maybe he worships the same God as the Muslims. I don't. In the end, it will all boil down to a clear choice: know Yahweh or worship the dragon, Satan, Lucifer, the devil. In reality, that's always been the case. But Babylon has a non-religious side to it as well. Like I said, anything that systematically separates us from Yahweh is a candidate for this dubious honor. Indeed, most of the relevant Revelation passages seem to be describing not a religion, but a system of finance or commerce. As we have discovered, an entity we find at work in the world today fits the prophecies to a T. For years, conspiracy theorists have breathlessly been tracking the progress of the Illuminati, a secretive, though not terribly secret, Luciferian organization whose goal is to unite the world under one all-powerful government ruled by a super-rich elite class, them. The Illuminati, after 200-plus years of behind-the-scenes maneuvering, are now alarmingly close to actually achieving their one-world ambition. I predict that as the tribulation approaches, the international bankers and industrialists of the Illuminati will welcome the advent of the Antichrist as the last puzzle piece they need to complete their goal of the domination of Earth. They will finance his rise, as they did Hitler's and Lenin's, undermine his foes, and greedily prepare to reap the ultimate windfall, ownership of the whole world. Some of them won't understand the satanic connection, of course. They'll consider themselves too enlightened to be influenced by such ancient religious hocus-pocus. Others, those at the very center of the inner circle, will recognize that their God and the Antichrist's God are one and the same, Lucifer, or Allah, or Baal, or whatever he will choose to be called. Both groups, however, will make the same fatal error. They will assume that the emerging European leader is their ally, someone they can manipulate to achieve their own purposes, someone whose goals are in alignment with their own, someone they can manage. After all, they have grown used to bending presidents and kings to their will, bringing them to power as well as removing them from office. It's an art they've been perfecting since their inception, and by this late date they are very, very good at it. In their pride, the Illuminists will take for granted that the Antichrist, too, will prove to be someone they can control. Those few who know they're following Lucifer will erroneously assume that Sun Tzu's adage, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," is true and that it will work to their advantage. But it's not true and never has been in any causal sense. They're playing with fire and they've never seen a match like this one before. The truth of the matter is found in John's vision.
And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast,
That is, his homeboys, the leader of his European Federation.
These will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. Revelation 17:16 and 17.
In other words, Yahweh, as he has so often, is going to use one evil to eradicate another. To amend the art of war, the enemy of my enemy may not be my friend, but he might prove useful. So without further ado, let's see what God's Word has to say about the demise of
Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth.
At this point, John has just witnessed the rise of the Antichrist and his 10-nation empire, and has been told that the men who will give their kingdom to the beast will hate the harlot. Considering her behind-the-scenes role in bringing the Antichrist to power, that may seem surprising, but the reason for their hate will become clear presently.
After these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory.
Lucifer would like you to believe that he's the great illuminator, so God wryly begins by sending an angel to shed some badly needed light on the subject.
And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the abundance of her luxury. Revelation 18:1-3.
Demons, foul spirits, and unclean birds, that is, scavengers, all speak of evil. Babylon, then, is the very home of wickedness in the world, despite its riches and apparent success. Actually, it's worse than that for the citizens of Babylon. It has become a prison, a cage from which there is no escape. I'm pretty sure you won't see any Illuminati bankers repenting and using their wealth to spread the gospel. Their own nefarious organizations assure unwavering devotion to Lucifer's cause. The angel is speaking in generalities here. He says all the nations, all the kings of the earth, the merchants of the earth. Bear in mind that there are almost as many people alive and walking the earth today than in all previous ages combined. 6,446,131,400 at this particular moment, out of what can't add up to much more than 10 billion total. Therefore, it's perfectly logical to assume that the conditions of which he speaks are those that will prevail worldwide during the days of the prophecy's fulfillment, rather than some previous period of great evil. So who today have the kings of the earth crawled into bed with? Who has made the merchants of the earth filthy rich? And who, if you'll pardon the expression, has been screwing all the nations? Why, the Illuminati, of course, the octopus-like cartel of international bankers and industrialists who have been attempting to run the world their way from behind the scenes for the past 100 years or so. On the eve of their greatest triumph, they will learn the truth of the first half of the proverb,
Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. Proverbs 11:4.
When the angel reports that
Babylon the Great is fallen,
he's talking about them. The tip-off is the phrase, all the nations. Until quite recently, it could never have been truthfully said that
all the nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Or, as we might say in our polite manner of speech today, all the nations have been seduced into an illicit and self-destructive relationship with the harlot of Babylon. Or, in our somewhat less than polite, but nevertheless accurate vernacular, every country on earth is getting screwed. What am I talking about? I'm talking about crushing and inescapable national indebtedness on a worldwide scale.